Shadows flickered in my peripheral vision, and I clearly heard their hushed whispers in the still night. This is the perfect time. We have to kill him now. I had come to steal the most expensive pink diamond the owners had recently acquired. My plan was flawless, until I overheard them. Just as I was about to grab the diamond, their words stopped me cold. Heart pounding, I peered through the window they stood outside of. A young man, perhaps even younger than me, lay asleep, unaware of the danger lurking outside. Guilt and disgust twisted in my gut. These men were here to kill him, and I was just watching. It didn't matter that I hated rich people. I couldn't let this happen. But I was unarmed, and they had weapons. I couldn't fight them, but I could wake him and get him out, quietly. Slipping inside while they were distracted, I grabbed him and pulled him to the ground. He stirred, mumbling in confusion. Who? I pressed a finger to his lips. Shh! We need to get out of here. Some men are here to kill you. His eyes flew open in shock, and I could see he was about to scream. I gripped his shoulders tightly, locking eyes with him. Don't say a word. He nodded hesitantly. We need to move now. I pulled him to his feet and led him toward the window. The moment we climbed out, a small noise betrayed us. Shouts erupted behind us, footsteps pounded. They heard us, he whispered, his voice laced with panic. What do we do? I didn't hesitate. We run like hell. As we bolted into the night, I heard one of the men shout, Look, he's with someone! I saw his face! And just like that, whatever trouble this guy was in, I was in it too. And whether I liked it or not, our fates were now tangled together. A few hours later, we were holed up in a rundown motel, not far from where we had escaped. The guy had been pacing the room for what felt like forever, while I sat on the edge of the bed, relaxing. How can you just sit there? Those men will come after us again. We need to run, he said for the 10th time. I know, I shrugged, but let me enjoy the peace while it lasts. You should rest too. You don't know when you'll get another chance. Rest? I can't rest when people are trying to kill me. Especially not in a place like this. He wrinkled his nose at the state of the room. Suit yourself. I closed my eyes, unfazed. Barely a minute passed before I felt a hand on my shoulder. Instinct took over. In a flash, I flipped him, pinning him beneath me. Don't do that again, I warned, my voice low. His wide blue eyes locked onto mine. I'm sorry, he stammered. His hands were still trapped beneath mine, and for a brief moment, something pulled me closer, until a loud noise echoed from downstairs. I let him go, my expression hardening. We need to move. He nodded, silent but ready to follow, like an obedient puppy. The next day. It was almost evening by now, and we had been escaping from one motel to another the entire day, not being safe anywhere. I finally brought us to one of my hideouts where we would at least be safe for the night. But for some reason, the guy who I hadn't managed to ask the name of and neither wanted to, still seemed tense. Would you relax? I frowned. I can't. The hitmen are still in our pursuit. I'm with an unknown man in an unknown place. How can I relax? He stumbled. I sighed and gave him a tight hug. You're alive. Everything will be fine, I murmured against his ear, feeling his heartbeat pounding against my chest. I didn't let him go until I felt him relaxing against my chest. Thanks, he muttered. I had to calm you somehow, I shrugged. But if you wanted me to comfort you, you could have just told me. I know much better ways to take your mind off things, I winked. He got flustered and turned away from me, making me chuckle. A few hours later. Can I sleep beside you? Someone stood before me at night. I almost jumped up, ready to attack, until I realized it was the same guy I was stuck with. I pointed at the clock on the wall. It's almost midnight. Do you have a habit of sleepwalking at night? I shouted. No, it's just that... He hesitated before continuing. With everything that has happened, I'm afraid to sleep alone. I frowned. Do you want me to be your babysitter or something? No, just let me sleep beside you, please, he pleaded. Seeing the fearful look in his eyes, I melted. Fine. I'm not gonna sing you a lullaby or something, I smirked. He flustered. But seeing me chuckle, he just quietly stepped into bed with me, but I noticed a hint of smile on his face even in the darkness. Soon I could feel the heat emanating due to the closeness of our bodies. Suddenly, I felt him move close to me and put an arm around me. "What the hell are—" I almost shouted at him, and then I noticed he was fast asleep. I wanted to remove his hand, to shove him away, but for some reason I just couldn't. So I just lay like that with his arm around me trying to sleep, while my heart pounded inside my chest. I didn't know why I had started caring about this guy or why my heart was pounding so hard, but something was definitely changing in me. The next morning. "What is this?" I asked, surprised, pointing at the breakfast spread before me. "I thought you might like some breakfast in the morning," he shrugged. "Sorry, I could only find some instant noodles and coffee." I took a bite and sipped my coffee. "What are you talking about? I can live on this," I mumbled happily and then muttered a thanks. He shrugged it off and then said, "So are we going to stay here for a while?" "Why, you getting comfortable here?" I smirked. "No, just tired of running," he sighed. "I think we're safe for now, but you never know," I replied seriously. He flopped down beside me on the bed. I wish I could just get my mind off everything. I suddenly leaned close to him, our bodies touching. "I do know a few ways to do that," I winked. He stammered, heat rising to his cheeks. "You look so cute sometimes," I teased, sliding my finger across his cheek and making him even more flustered. "You know," I murmured against his ear, slightly brushing my lips against it, "since we're getting so close, how about we share our names, too?" "Oh, actually," he started, but before he could say anything else, a loud knock came from the front door, followed by shoutings. I put a finger on his lips, telling him to be quiet, and pulled him up, hurrying him as the men started knocking the door down. We used the secret back door I had for emergencies, and a few minutes later, we were out of the hideout and on the run. A few hours later. We had finally managed to take shelter in an abandoned house nearby, but time was slipping away. I needed to figure out a real solution to this mess. "Nick." The sudden sound of his voice jolted me. What?" I asked, caught off guard. "You asked my name. It's Nick. Nick Hastings. That was my dad's house," he admitted. I froze, staring at him in disbelief. This couldn't be happening. I had saved the son of the very man I had planned to rob. A rich brat. Anger flared inside me, sharp and bitter. I had suspected Nick was connected to the owner, but never in a million years did I think he was his son. I had always hated rich people, having been born in an orphanage. Everything was handed to them on a silver platter while I struggled for even my basic needs. They treated me like nothing, and because of them, I lost many opportunities that could have changed my life for the better. Instead, I was forced onto the streets where I got involved with the bad crowd and ended up becoming a thief. Not by choice exactly. And now I was stuck with a rich brat. Should I just leave him here? His father was surely searching for him, and the last thing I needed was trouble with a man that powerful. But as I looked at him again, my resolve wavered. Was he really that bad? Nick had already proved he wasn't the spoiled, entitled heir I had imagined. No, I couldn't abandon him. Not when his life was on the line. And not when My heart pounded. I pushed the thought away, too afraid to acknowledge it. "I'm Luke," I said finally, giving him the shortened version of my name, one that kept my criminal identity hidden. Nick nodded slowly, his gaze lingering on me. I kept my expression unreadable. The less he knew about me, the better. "We should keep moving," I said. Nick hesitated. "Where are we even going?" Nick sighed and ran a hand through his messy brown hair. I don't get it." "What?" I asked, already irritated. "Why are you helping me?" I stopped in my tracks. The answer should have been simple. I couldn't stand by and watch an innocent person get hurt or killed. But deep down, I knew it was more than that, no matter how much I tried to deny it. "Maybe I just like the chase. Or," I leaned in closer to him, "you," I winked. Nick gave me a look, half amused, half suspicious. "Right. Let's move," I replied as I heard a distant sound. I grabbed his wrist and pulled him along, feeling the tension coil between us. Something unspoken, something dangerous. The next day. "I don't understand. Why aren't we going to the cops?" Nick asked, exasperated. "Because they can't help us," I replied, irritation creeping into my voice. "You don't know that," he shot back. "From my experience, they don't do much, and sometimes they make things even worse," I said bitterly. "So what's your plan? Keep running for the rest of our lives?" he shouted. Then in a quieter voice, he muttered, "Maybe I should just go back to my dad." "And put him in danger too?" I countered. I have a better idea. I know another place to hide. Right, because the last one worked out so well, he scoffed. This place is famous for sheltering all kinds of criminals. It can definitely hide us, I said with a shrug. He narrowed his eyes. And how exactly do you know about it? Someone I know told me, I lied smoothly. Anyway, that's not important. It's the best option we have right now. Nick hesitated before sighing. Fine, but I'm still going to insist we go to the cops. I stepped closer and gripped his shoulders firmly. Trust me on this. I know what I'm doing. Nick's gaze locked onto mine, and for a brief moment, something shifted between us. A pull, subtle yet undeniable. My heart pounded as I found myself leaning in, drawn to him. But just before our closeness became something more, Nick stepped back. Fine, I believe you, he murmured, but he didn't meet my eyes. Even as he pulled away, I could feel the tension in the air, and in that moment, one thing became clear. Protecting Nick was no longer just an obligation. It was something I wanted, and I would do anything, everything to keep him safe. Because somehow, somewhere along the way, I had started caring about him. A few hours later. So, what do you think? I asked, gesturing towards the hideout. Nick's eyes widened as he took it in. Wow, it's not just a building, it's an entire community. I nodded. Yeah, a safe haven for criminals. Even the cops don't dare come here. His excitement faded into a frown. Doesn't that make it dangerous for us too? What if those hitmen come looking? Not just anyone is allowed in. We got in because I know someone. Nick raised an eyebrow. Yeah, you keep saying that. Can we go inside now? I smirked and led him into one of the buildings, one of my usual hideouts. He looked around and shrugged. Not bad, but the slight crease in his forehead told me he wasn't entirely convinced. Sorry I couldn't offer you a mansion or a luxury suite, Your Highness, I teased. He scowled. I haven't always lived in mansions, you know. I do know what reality looks like. He sighed. Still, it's definitely better than those awful motels. I grinned. Of course. Now, want to see if this bed can handle both of us? I winked, flopping down onto it. Nick gave a reluctant smile. Don't you have a pause button or something? I smirked. Guess you'll just have to find out. A few days later. We sat side by side on the rooftop of the hideout. For once, there was no immediate danger, no frantic escape, just silence, just us. Nick hugged his knees, his eyes scanning the streets below. I still can't believe this is my life now, he muttered. A week ago, my biggest problem was a stupid business dinner my dad forced me to attend. Now he trailed off, shaking his head. Now you're a fugitive, I finished for him, smirking. Nick shot me a glare but then sighed. Yeah, and somehow, I don't hate it as much as I thought I would. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, so you're saying you actually enjoy my company? He scoffed, nudging my shoulder lightly. Don't push your luck. But I caught the way his lips twitched, almost forming a smile. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. I wasn't used to this, sitting with someone in comfortable silence. I'd spent years running, hiding, surviving. But now, sitting here with him, it didn't feel so lonely. You never told me why you're so good at this, Nick said suddenly, turning to me. At hiding, at running. It's like secret nature to you. I stiffened slightly but forced a smirk. Trade secret. For some reason, I suddenly felt guilty, dreading the day when Nick would find out the truth. Nick frowned but didn't push. One day you'll tell me, he said softly. I should have laughed it off, should have changed the subject, but instead, I just looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, I wondered if maybe, just maybe, I wanted him to know. The next day, I frowned at the information I just received. Are you sure about this? The informant smirked. You know me, my intel's never wrong. I pulled out a wad of cash and handed it over. Fine, keep your mouth shut. When I returned to the room, Nick glanced up. You're back, so how long are we staying here? As long as we need to, I said firmly. He frowned. I still think we should go to the cops. That's not an option, I shot back. His frustration boiled over. Why? Are you afraid of them or something? I exhaled sharply, my patience wearing thin. No, but you should be. Nick's eyes narrowed. What are you talking about? I hesitated for a moment before delivering the blow. Someone from the inside is involved. What do you mean? He asked, confusion flickering across his face. I met his gaze. Someone close to your father, or working for him, wants you dead. His expression crumbled. That's not possible, he murmured. It is. The source who told me this has never been wrong. He just hasn't found a name yet. Nick's breathing grew uneven as the weight of my words settled in. But why? Who would do this? I've never crossed anyone. I hesitated before placing a reassuring arm around him. I don't know yet, but I will find out. He swallowed hard, his voice unsteady. Who can I even trust now? I held his gaze, unwavering. You can trust me. For a moment, he said nothing. Then, without warning, he stepped forward and wrapped his arms around me. Thanks, he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. I don't know why you're doing all this, but I'm glad you're on my side. I held him tighter, my voice softer than I intended. Always. And for the first time, I regretted being a thief, because it meant I'll have to leave him one day. But maybe, just maybe, there was a way I could leave my old life behind, for Nick. 2 days later. You're doing fine now? I asked casually while sipping my coffee. Nick sighed deeply. Trying my best, especially after learning everything. You shouldn't worry too much. Once we find out who's out to get you, they'll be really sorry, I replied angrily. Well, at least I've got you, he said with a soft smile. I suddenly felt a pang of guilt. Nick trusted me, yet here I was lying about everything. In fact, my entire life was built on lies. You trust me that much? I mumbled. Of course, he grinned. I have come to realize you're not that bad. Back at you, I smiled. A week ago you were just some rich kid. Now you're someone I actually don't mind having around. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The air between us grew heavier, charged with something I couldn't name. Then, without thinking, I reached out and tucked a strand of loose hair behind his ear. His breath hitched, and my fingers lingered just a second too long. Luke, he whispered, his voice barely audible. I shouldn't have pulled away. Should have broken the tension with a joke, like I always did. But I didn't. Instead, I leaned in. It wasn't planned, it wasn't calculated. It was just him. The way his lips parted slightly, the way my pulse pounded as if warning me this was a bad idea, but I didn't care. He didn't move away. Our lips almost touched when loud shouts from outside made us jerk apart. We ran outside to see what was happening. Robert, I mumbled in shock. He used to be my partner in crime until he betrayed me. Well, well, he sneered. Didn't expect to find you here, Lucas. Nick stiffened beside me. Lucas? He echoed, confused. I ignored him, stepping forward. You got some nerve showing up here. The guy chuckled darkly. And you've got some nerve pretending to be someone you're not. Shut your mouth, Robert. Or what? You'll hit me? He grinned. Would you really do that in front of that rich kid? He took a step towards him, but before he could do anything, I shoved him hard. The first punch came fast. I barely dodged it before driving my fist into the guy's gut. I fought hard. See, Nick? He knows how this works. After all, he's one of us, Robert smirked. Didn't he tell you? Your so-called savior is a wanted criminal. A thief. A liar. Nick's eyes met mine, filled with hurt and betrayal. Is it true? I clenched my jaw. Nick, listen. The moment of hesitation cost me. Robert swung at me, but I recovered quickly. I delivered a final blow, sending him crumpling to the floor. Panting, I turned to Nick, who was already backing away. I can't believe you're a thief, he whispered. I exhaled, stepping toward him. I was going to tell you, but what? You thought I'd never find out? The least you could have done was tell me the truth, his voice cracked. Nick, I wanted to tell you, but I hesitated. But you thought lying was better. I trusted you so much, yet you betrayed me. I can't believe I was being helped by a thief, he said bitterly. This is the last time we're seeing each other. I'm leaving. Nick, I know I lied to you. I know I betrayed you. But please hear my story once. I was an orphan and then mixed up with the wrong crowd in my teens. Being a thief wasn't a choice for me, but a necessity. I wanted to tell you the truth, but every time I was afraid to lose you, I explained. You should have told me all this before. It's too late now, Nick replied. Nick, please, you're in danger, I said, reaching for his hand. I will change for you. I would fight the entire world to protect you. Save this bullshit for someone else. I don't believe a word you say, he shot, pulling away. and before I could say or do anything, Nick turned away and stormed off. I wanted to run after him, to explain, but my guilt held me in place like chains. The weight of my lies, my past, pressed down on me, suffocating. I had lost the only person in the world I ever truly cared about. But I couldn't let go of Nick like that. I couldn't. He had shown me that not every rich person was the same. He had taught me to be a better man, and I was going to show him that I could change. A few hours later, I had been doing everything I could to track Nick down and uncover the person responsible for the hitmen, but so far, I have had nothing. No leads, no clues, just dead ends. Still, I wasn't going to give up, not when Nick's life was still in danger. Suddenly, Mark came sprinting towards me, his face pale with urgency. He was the same guy who had given me the intel before. "What is it?" I demanded, my pulse quickening. "Where's that rich guy? He's in huge trouble," Mark gasped, struggling to catch his breath. My chest tightened. "What do you mean? Explain, now." Mark swallowed hard before blurting out, "I finally find out who sent those hitmen after him. It was his own uncle." "What?" The revelation hit me like a punch to the gut. "Why the hell would his uncle want him dead?" Mark gave him a grim look. "He's after the inheritance. Nick is the only thing standing in his way. The second he's out of the picture, the fortune is his." My hand clenched into a fist. Nick had been running for his life, and the threat had been lurking within his own family all along. But what scared me more was that I had no idea where he was. He was the only person who made me believe I could be something more than just a thief. And for the first time in my life, I wanted to be. I had to find him, before it was too late. Another few hours later. Mark had given me a list of places Nick's uncle could have taken him, and I had searched every single one. Only one remained. My last chance to find him, or lose him forever. No, I couldn't think like that. I had to save him, no matter what. I entered the abandoned warehouse quietly. It was one of Nick's dad's old factories. If his uncle had gotten to him, then he had to be here. Unless it was already too late. The thought sent a chill down my spine, making my heart pound. No, that wasn't possible. It couldn't be. I clenched my fists, forcing myself to stay calm. Nick was still alive. He had to be. My eyes widened in shock as I saw Nick tied up and hurt, and standing over him was a blonde-haired man in a suit, his uncle. "You've given me quite the chase, but not anymore. I can finally get rid of you," he sneered. "Why are you doing this to me? If Dad finds out about this, you'll be really sorry," Nick retorted. "I'll deal with him later. Now, start counting your minutes," his uncle said and pointed a gun at him. "No!" I shouted and stepped in front of Nick from my hiding place. "Don't you dare hurt him." "And who are you?" he frowned. "Lucas, what are you doing here?" Nick asked, surprised. "I know you hate me right now, Nick, but I have come to save you," I confess. "So you're the one who's been helping Nick. You think I'll hesitate to get rid of either of you?" Nick's uncle snapped. "I'll make you regret it if you do anything to him," I threatened. "You think you can scare him? That I don't know who you are? You're just a petty thief, and I won't even think twice before killing you," he retorted. "Lucas, please don't put your life in danger because of me," Nick pleaded. I smiled sadly. "My life's worth nothing in front of you. I care about you too much, Nick, to let anything happen to you." "Oh, what a heartwarming story," his uncle taunted. "Well, let's end it now." He pointed the gun at Nick. He pressed the trigger, but I jumped in front of Nick, ready to save him at all costs. As the bullet hit me, sharp pain shot through me. My vision was blurred, but I still tried my best to see what was happening around me. Someone was holding my head in their lap. "Nick," I mumbled in surprise. "Shh, you're gonna be all right," he said softly. "You're okay," I murmured while holding his hand. "And you'll be too. The cops are here and we'll take you to the hospital soon." I slowly noticed the cops around me with my blurred vision. Nick's uncle was in handcuffs being taken away by the cops. I sighed in relief. We finally got rid of him. I gazed at Nick softly. "I don't care if anything happens to me. I'm just glad I got to meet you and even spend my last moments with you." "Don't say that," he cried. "I'm sorry, Nick. I never should have lied to you, but I was afraid of losing you. I cared about you too much," I confessed as the last of my vision started slipping away. "Lucas, please don't leave me. I care about you too much, but I was never able to tell you. Please, Lucas, I love you. Don't leave me." Those were the last words I heard from Nick before my consciousness slipped away. A few days later, I woke up to stark white walls. the air thick with the sharp scent of disinfectant. A dull ache pulsed in my body as I registered the beeping of machines around me. I was lying on a hospital bed, numerous wires attached to me. The steady rhythm of a heart monitor filled the silence. Blinking a few times, I tried to make sense of my surroundings, my mind sluggish and hazy. How did I get here? The last thing I remembered was when a voice shouted, "Lucas!" It was Nick. "You're awake," he cried happily, taking my hand in his. "Seems so," I smiled. "Do you realize how much you scared me? How much I was worried about you?" he said in anger. "I'm sorry, but I had to save you," I murmured. "You idiot," he sighed. "So everything's over now?" I questioned. "Yeah," Nick nodded. "Turns out Dad was already suspicious of Uncle Thomas for a long time. So when I suddenly disappeared, he started keeping an eye on him. And the day my uncle kidnapped me, Dad found out everything and informed the cops. That's how we were saved," he explained. "Tell your dad thanks from me," I replied, smiling. "I think we both had to thank him for a lot," Nick grinned and added softly. "By any chance, did you hear what I said to you at the warehouse?" "My memory's a bit foggy. Can you remind me again?" I feigned. He smirked. "You're really bad at acting." He then took a deep breath and started. "Lucas, from the first time I met you, I could tell you were different from others. I could always feel a pull towards you. And I don't know when and how, but I started liking you. I started falling in love with you," Nick confessed. "Then why didn't you tell me? You were always pulled away from me," I frowned. "Because I was afraid of losing you. I wasn't sure what our future held, and I could tell you were hiding something from me. I thought being close to you would only hurt more when we parted ways," he admitted. "I should never have lied to you, but I was afraid to. Afraid that as soon as you heard about my criminal past, you'd run away from me, and you did," I replied. "Lucas, I would never run away if you had told me the truth from the start," Nick implored. "Really?" I questioned. "The only reason I came to your house that day was to rob you and your dad. I didn't have any good intentions until I saw you in trouble. I don't care what you did in the past. I care what you feel for me now. Tell me the truth, Lucas," Nick pleaded. "What do you think? I don't take bullets for everyone, you know," I smirked. "You mean?" Nick left his words hanging. "Yes, I love you too, idiot. I've been for a while. There's no other person in the world who I care about this much," I confessed. Nick leaned in suddenly and met my lips, kissing me deeply. I kissed him back happily until a pain shot through me and I shouted. "Sorry, I should let you heal," he said worriedly. "Yeah, let's keep this on hold for a while," I smiled softly. "So, what's next?" Nick asked. I sighed. "I wanted to leave the criminal world behind. I wanted to be with you and leave everything behind. But I don't think it's possible." "Maybe not for us," Nick replied in thought. "But I know a person who might just be able to help us." A week later. I stood nervously in front of Nick's dad. The moment I was discharged from the hospital, he had called me to his house, and I had no idea why. "So, you're the one who saved my son?" he asked coldly, his sharp gaze studying me. "Yes, Mr. Hastings," I replied politely, keeping my posture straight. "And you expect me to forgive you for breaking into my house just because you saved him?" His voice was laced with disapproval. "I expect nothing," I answered honestly. He let out a thoughtful hum. "You're right. You don't deserve any forgiveness." "Dad!" Nick protested. But Mr. Hastings ignored him. "But," he continued, his expression softening a little, "I've seen how much my son cares about you, and I can tell you care about him too. You make him happy, and that's all that matters to me. So, I'm willing to help you." My eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "I'll make sure you avoid prison," he said. "But in return, you have to promise me that you'll turn over a new leaf." Relief and gratitude flooded through me. "I'll do anything, I swear." "Thank you, Mr. Hastings." "It's all right, just never even think about hurting my son," he warned, his voice firm. I shook my head without hesitation. "I could never." Nick ran to me, his face lighting up with joy as he pulled me into a tight hug. "We can be together now!" I smiled, holding him close. Yes, finally. For the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of the future. 2 weeks later. I had started doing community service last week to atone for my past actions. Just as Nick's dad had promised, I was able to avoid prison in exchange for a year of service. It was the best outcome I could have hoped for, and I couldn't help but feel grateful. Maybe rich people weren't as bad as I always thought. "Hey," Nick waved a hand in front of my face. "Lost in your thoughts again?" Yes, I was thinking about you, I teased. Really? What about me? He smirked. About kissing you in front of everyone here, I said, nodding towards the bustling cafe around us. His cheeks flushed. You won't change, will you? Why would I? You love me just the way I am, I grinned. Tell me you weren't thinking about kissing me too. I leaned in closer, my voice dropping to a playful whisper. He stammered, clearly flustered. I smirked and brushed my lips against his in a soft, lingering kiss. Tell me you didn't like that. Nick shook his head, smiling. You know I can't lie. I look forward to more of that. Do you? I grinned, pulling him closer. To new beginnings, I murmured, before pressing my lips to his once more. A few months after completing my community service, I moved in with Nick. He had stepped into his father's shoes, taking over the family business, while I had finally found a path beyond my past. After everything we had endured, the danger, the betrayals, the near losses, we had made it through together. My past would always be a part of me, but it no longer defined me. Nick and I left behind the darkness, choosing instead to embrace a future built on love and happiness. I didn't know what the future held for us, but for the first time, I wasn't afraid. With Nick by my side, whatever came next felt like something we could face together, because I belonged by Nick's side, and that was all that mattered. The end. Question: can you ever truly leave your past behind? Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome.